Hi, everyone, and welcome to Shattered Silence Stories of Recovery and Resilience. My name is Jori, and today I am here with Officer D.C. Williams. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We're going to talk a little bit about just law enforcement, mental health, and breaking the stigma, because I know with law enforcement and even first responders, it's really hard to talk about in the profession. Just breaking the stigma, things that you've witnessed yourself, and just life events, I guess.
That works for me.
Yeah.
That works.
So I guess to start, just kind of go through your background, I guess. How long have you been in law enforcement? What got you into it?
I've been in law enforcement for coming up on 23 years.
Okay.
And what got me into it was I was in a dead-end position with a job I had prior. I thought I was going to be in business my whole life. Mm-hmm. Thought that was the route I was going to take.
Yeah.
And found out, like I said, I was in a dead-end position. A family member was on the department, and I did a ride-along with him for like a whole entire week. So wherever he went, I got to go, and I just fell in love with law enforcement and helping people, and tested. Didn't make it the first time, tested again, made it, and here we are 23 years later, still enjoying it. And going through different things. Because you see, in law enforcement, you see things that, or just first responders in general, you see things that normal people don't see.
Right.
When you respond to a crash or you respond to an incident in somebody's house, you're seeing people at their worst. And you're trying to help them. Or you're seeing a really bad situation, like if you go to a really bad crash, you're seeing people that are severely injured, or you're going to fatalities. And if you're not dealing with that properly, it builds up. And that's kind of what happened to me with some of the stuff that I've dealt with is I kept holding things in. Because as law enforcement, you don't, you're the tough guys.
Right,
you know, the firemen, you're the tough guys. You're the ones.
You can see it all and you're fine.
Oh, yeah. You're perfectly, see, and that's a common thing to say, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine, I'm good, I got this. I got this. Because we're the fixers. We're the ones who go in and solve the problems because we're okay ourselves. We don't need fixing. And I went through some things where I was having issues writing reports when I first got on. Here I am at 28 years old, and I'm having some issues writing reports that I didn't catch up on. And I got diagnosed with ADHD. And so I went up thinking I could trust a sergeant. Hey, I got to come off the road for a week. I got to get used to a new medication. And once I did that, all hell broke loose.
Oh, no.
It went to I wasn't good enough. I was on what they call interim reporting for 9 months, where I'm just being scrutinized on everything. And I got on the right medication. My reports improved. Everything was going great. But this one individual didn't think I was good enough because of my ADHD.
And that's kind of crazy, too, because it's like that's such a common thing.
It is.
It's so common.
It is. Well, growing up, I had it my entire life, but I was able to compensate for it. But when things started getting really stressful or really hectic, I would try to think of what I was going to say before the person was even done saying what they were saying or asking a question. And getting reports, I would read things into reports, stuff that wasn't even there that I had saw being put in there. And that followed me around I transferred from one office to another. That followed me there because the sergeant and the lieutenant were buddies. So that went from there. Then it went to another office, and things just followed me around. And then I got an injury. I got hurt. I was involved in a car crash, messed up my shoulder, back, my knee, and then all of a sudden everybody left me alone. Nobody was talking to me. Nobody followed up. I'm all by myself, injured.
Yeah.
And then I had another injury. Then there was another injury that happened.
Oh, my gosh.
And when you go through that, unless you're involved in, like with the cool kid group, you kind of get left alone. And everybody will talk, guys will talk smack about, hey, you know what? He's hurting us. We're short somebody. We're short a body. This guy needs to get back. But yet they don't check up on you.
Right.
And then you have the doctors who, wherever you go in there, they're offering you those wonderful pain pills. And so I had a plethora of pain pills at home. And in the early stages, it wasn't an issue. But then I had a really bad incident where we showed up to a scene where there's nothing we could do. And it was a vehicle fire with 2 moms and 4 kids inside the car.
Oh my gosh.
And the husbands were able to get out, and we had to sit and just watch that vehicle burn.
Oh my gosh.
And there's nothing we could do. So with that, then that's kind of when some of the wonderful pills I had helped out, because I was helping out with the scene and injured myself again, unfortunately, because I have a bad knee, and so my knee buckled again really bad, and get the wonderful pain pills going, and so it kind of went from there. And so here I am, Mr. Hero, trying to go in to save people, and yet I'm struggling inside myself because I'm okay. I'm a fixture.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like, my gosh, I can't even imagine having to go through that and expected to be okay after that.
Yeah,
right away.
but you are, though. You are, because first responders, like I said, my father-in-law is a retired firefighter. And it was the same thing way back then. That's just something that was, I guess, bred into people or taught, hey, you suck it up.
Yeah.
You suck it up, deal with it, move on. And so that's what I've been doing, not realizing the damage that was going on, because I dealt with years of management distrust after what I went through at one of the offices where they were trying to fire me and how it followed me around. I went through management distrust. I didn't really let people get close to me because of the injuries that I had, some of the injuries that I had, and being left alone. It's like, okay, now I'm, they're treating me like, I'm a plague or something. So I didn't have that. And then having managers or supervisors and that really weren't leaders, that were there just because they wanted that bump in pay before they retired. And that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, there's quite a few out there, but then you have those that promote up that are true leaders, that are there for people. And unfortunately, I had run with a few of the bad ones and had a couple good ones that helped me along the way. But when I went through that incident, there was a really bad leader that was at the office that basically told me, if I see you suffering, I'm going to take your badge and your gun because I care about you. It's like, what?
Wait, that's a little backwards.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah. So at that time, prior to that, I was, popping some pills here and there, and I'd have one of my kids, hey, go tell mom I need a pain pill. I'd be on the couch, either ice my knee or my shoulder. Hey, go tell mom I need a pain pill, and they'd go get 1 or 2. So if they got 2, I would take 1, hide 1. Then I would have another one, and I never did anything on duty. I wouldn't, and I think what helped is taking the ADHD medication that kind of helped out. You wouldn't think of it that way, but as you think about it, it's like that helped get me through because I knew what my days off were, and so when it was that Friday, my knees really hurt and my shoulders really hurt, and so I'd pop a pain pill, and it did. It slowly built up.
Yeah, started the cycle.
It really did. And especially after the incident I had, where we had to watch that family where showed up on scene and there's nothing we could do. My birthday's on the 4th of July, and it happened just before my birthday. So I couldn't deal with fireworks. I couldn't deal with all of that stuff. And it made it really challenging because here's my young kids out enjoying 4th of July with sparklers, and I'm freaking out because I'm smelling the fire, and it brings you. I was right back in.
Especially if it just had happened too.
Yeah.
You're just like reliving it.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Yeah, it was very difficult. So I go inside my brother-in-law's house, and I'm on the couch. What's going on? Oh, I need a pain pill. I'm really hurting. So there goes
Mask
the 1,
your
2
pain.
pills. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how, during all this time and after this incident, how did that start to affect your home life?
It was having more an effect than what I was catching up on because I've got 4 beautiful daughters, and they've got their mental health stuff that they're dealing with. I've got several of my daughters have bipolar. They've got anxiety, couple of them deal with cutting and hurting themselves. And so that stuff was going on. My wife was dealing, with me, seeing me go through all of this stuff, but yet I'm trying to hide it, thinking that I'm hiding it. And she's dealing with the girls as well, too. So my wife's kind of going through a lot of stuff as well, but yet I'm focused on me. Because there were several times where I almost ended everything. Because here I'm going through all this stuff. It's like, why does my family need to deal with somebody like me? And there was one part of my life where I had my spot picked out. I knew exactly how I was going to end everything, what I was going to do. And I didn't. But yet I was putting myself in situations that I shouldn't have been putting myself in, hoping something would happen to me, because if I got killed or died on duty, my family was going to be taken care of. They would be able to pay off the bills, be able to take care of everything. They're going to be fine financially. But yet I wasn't thinking about that in respect of me not being there.
Right.
I was just thinking of, hey, you know what? They're going to be better off without me. I'm bringing them all down. And then that turned into, oh, you want this? Okay, we're going to be fine. Oh, there's overtime coming. Yeah, we can buy this. We can buy that. I was switching out cars left and right. It's like, oh, this car isn't good enough. I need to get a different car. Oh, I don't like this car. So then the financial stuff kicks in. And it just was a catalyst of everything building up. And then, you have a supervisor tell you that, hey, I'm going to take your bat and your gun away. Then that just increased all the pill popping and everything else. But like I said, I was able to get through the work cycle. Then once the weekend came, boom, pills started going.
Right away, yeah. It was like you were just waiting for that moment too, but it's just hard. I mean, I just know with Kyle, my late fiance, it was like everything with him too, that it was the same way. He was dealing with stuff because he was military. So he was dealing with stuff internally, and that's what eventually led to pills, and that's how he coped too. That's just how you cope, I guess. But going back, I know that you, just right away are dealing with PTSD after seeing events. So I know you deal, I'm sure, with a lot of PTSD, as do a lot of law enforcement, first responders. Is there anything that, I know that you are part of like a peer, what is it called?
I'm part of peer support.
Peer support.
So, yeah.
So there's peer support. Has that been a thing for a while?
It has. At first, I didn't want anything to do with it because I had a bad experience early in my career where an officer had committed suicide and they tried to bring in peer support. And it was kind of like a kumbaya type of thing, which is like, who wants to go just sit around and, sing songs and just, it wasn't as organized as it is now. Things have gotten so much better. And so after I went through my critical incident and that I got help, and I did it on my own to get who I went through the department, but my lieutenant didn't know, my sergeants didn't know.
Yeah, so going to like counseling, or?
I went away for a week. I went up to a place called it's WCPR West Coast Post Traumatic Retreat is where I went to for a week. And it was all covered, and it was the best thing I ever did. And what got me motivated to do that was my oldest daughter, who at the time was 18, she popped a whole bunch of amoxicillin to get attention. And I get a phone call from my wife, hey, we're going to the hospital. And I just went, okay, what's going on? And she told me what had happened. So I shot to the hospital and was laying in the gurney with my daughter, talking to her and asking her why she did what she did, what was going on, what was going through her mind. And at that moment, it was like, hey, if she's talking about getting help herself, what makes you any better? What makes you better than her? And so I told my wife, hey, it's time to get help. And I started making phone calls. She went with me to go see somebody up in Fresno. And within 5 minutes, as you mentioned, the PTS. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you got PTS. You're hypervigilant. You got this going on, that going on. And it hit home. And he looked at me and said, hey, you need to go get help. Are you willing? And I looked at my wife and went, yeah, it's time for me to go get help. So I went away for a week. And then once I had that done, I got help, worked through stuff. Because it's the beginning of a journey.
Right, yeah.
So still on the journey, I went and, you know what, it's time to be part of peer support. Because if I went and got help. Imagine how many others are not getting help, or
Right.
when incidents happen, maybe I can go and I can help talk to people on that. And so I became part of the peer support, and it's changed to where they're more available. They're trying to get more therapists or more clinicians to be part of it, to help out and for people to get help.
Right.
And we have our quarterly trainings, our yearly training, and that, and we just talk about all the different issues that people are dealing with: suicide, alcohol, drug abuse. I mean, there's so many different things that are going on, and just letting people know, hey, it's okay to ask for help.
Right. I'm sure it's just really hard, especially in your field, to break the stigma.
Oh,
Because,
it's so hard.
I mean, yeah, my brother-in-law he's in law enforcement as well, and yeah, he just holds it all together so well too. And I know that there's times where, I'll talk to my sister. She's like, yeah, he struggles, but I never hear it, because that's just a thing. You don't talk about it.
Because they're fine. They're
Right.
fine. As long as you say you're fine, hey, you're fine. You got it.
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
it.
Yeah, I know. And so I know. I just know he struggles, but he doesn't want to talk about
Well,
it.
asking for help, they refer to it as, it's that phone is 1,000-pound weight. It's 1,000-pound weight that you don't want to pick up, because then people might see you as weak, or they might see you as
Right.
not capable. And with the whole thing, it's a matter of nobody's going to know. Nobody needs to know.
Right.
Everything's confidential.
Yeah, and even if you are to reach out and say that you need help, just like what you said in the beginning, that I thought that I could trust, my sergeant, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh wait, no, actually, I don't know if you're good enough or whatever. You know what I mean? That
Exactly.
feeling that you felt. So it's like, how do they reach out and get the help if they're gonna be,
And see, and not all are like that. That's the thing, and that's what's changed in the beginning. In the way beginning, yeah, it might have been like that, because everybody's afraid of, okay, if I'm asking for help and everybody knows about it, then I'm gonna, they're gonna bench me. They're gonna
Right.
put me, they're gonna put me on the bench. They're gonna take away, for law enforcement, they're gonna take away my gun. They're gonna take away my peace officer powers. They're gonna do all these different things, but there's certain things that where they will have to take away temporarily. If you're suicidal, or if there's other things
Right.
going on, and you have to get checked into a facility, yeah, those peace officer powers may be temporarily taken. But if you go and you ask for help, there's things that can be done to where you can get the help that you need, still keep your peace officer powers, still keep all these things together. And it's not, if you're asking for help, they would rather get you help than get that phone call of you ending everything.
Right.
And not being able to go on. I mean, that would be a lot better. So that's where things are changing and things are getting better.
Right. And I think that's awesome too, because I know that even, like you said, in the beginning, it's like, you can't talk about it.
No.
It wasn't commonly talked
Yeah.
about either. But I think that's part of, why we're doing this podcast too. It's just so we can spread the awareness and just let people know that it's okay to ask for help. And like you said, it's more important to ask for help and have you here than not.
Yeah, because by all the statistics, I shouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
I shouldn't be. I mean, I dealt with suicide for quite some time. Like I said, I put myself in some stupid situations. Like I went in after somebody into a house by myself and arrested him in front of the whole family, not even caring, if anything were to happen. I mean, somebody could have easily had taken me out. They could have grabbed the knife. There could have been a gun inside the house, and I had my back turned because I didn't care. And it's also, I was also putting signs out there that I wanted to hurt myself, and nobody picked up on anything. Nobody picked up on anything. Like there was one time before I got help where I kicked the back door to the office open. I almost broke the door. I kicked it that hard, and it nobody said anything. Nobody said a thing to me. So it's picking up on the signs and being aware when somebody's changing their personality or their attitude and stuff's going. It's not a matter of like, oh God, what's wrong with him?
Right.
Oh, he's having a bad day. No, you need to pull him aside and talk to him.
Yeah, something deeper is going on, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah, but sometimes people are just like, all right, I'm just going to
Yeah.
do my thing, let you do your thing. But I think it is important for those people that want to step in and help, and you have to look for the signs. You really do.
And people may not know how to, but it's just a matter of, hey, you doing okay? What's going on?
Right.
Because, I mean, there was times I drove into work very recklessly in and out of track. Because, hey, I'm on my way into work. Everything's going to be okay still. If I die, it's my family's going to be taken care of. And that's what you think. And also, people don't want to talk about suicide because that's the coward's way out, which that's not the case. I mean, unless you've dealt with it, you don't see what somebody's going through. Because, like with me, it was thinking, oh, my family's going to be taken care of. They're going to be better off without me. It's going to be okay. I don't want to carry this anymore. And that's sometimes what you're thinking is, I can't do it anymore. When if somebody just lends a hand and just reaches out, hey, what do you got? We got this.
Right.
With no judgment, with no repercussions, it can make the difference in the world.
Like in the beginning, when you're in training and stuff, is it ever brought up anything about mental health or ways to cope? Because obviously you're going to see stuff. So is that anything that's ever brought up in the beginning, or it's just like, this is what you're going to see, you got to suck it up?
When I first started, that's how it was. It was, you're going to suck it up. Guys would come in from their stories. They'd bring people in who'd been involved in shootings and talk about stuff. They would talk about some things they've gone through, but it was kind of like, oh, suck it up. Or they would talk a little bit about mental health and getting help. Lately, it's gotten more to where they are going in, they're talking more. But some of the continued training after, some of it's online, some people will come in and talk. So I don't think, to me, there's not enough. To me, there's not enough.
Right.
And it's slowly getting there. It's slowly improving. But while we're improving, we're still losing people. We're still losing first responders to suicide and to overdose, and that's a sad thing. So it's a slow progression forward, but we're getting there where it's getting more and more frequent to talk about and more familiar and more comfortable to talk about.
Right.
It just needs to get to a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, and because there's so much that can affect somebody. Some things may affect one person one way, some may affect them a different way. And it's just a matter of getting the info out there and just making people know it's okay to talk about. Right. So there's times where I'll see people, and if we go help out with like a critical incident debriefing, like say, there's either been a shooting or there's been a really bad crash, a really bad incident, when we talk to people, it's like, hey, this is okay to talk about. You're upset, you're this, you're that. You've got all these different feelings going on, which are normal feelings to have for experiencing something so tragic. These are normal feelings for what you've experienced. So it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to do all these things as long as you handle it the correct way, where you're not going out and you're binge drinking, or you're, unfortunately in my case, where you're popping some pills here and there. So it's a matter of finding the right way to go about things. And sometimes when somebody's going through a hard time, they'll hand somebody a card and say, "Here, call if you need help." That's not how it works. You need to let somebody know that's part of peer support, or get somebody involved that's a close friend of them. Just say, "Hey, you may want to check up on this person. I can't go into the details, but you may want to follow up and see how they are doing, because we're a little bit concerned." Just don't hand a card.
Yeah.
Because you know right where that card's going to go. It's going to go in the trash.
Yeah.
And you'll get that rare incident where somebody will actually call.
Right. We have a message from our sponsors, Aspire Counseling Services. We just want to remind everyone that seeking treatment should never be stigmatized. Aspire specializes in providing support and treatment for both teens and adults with mental health and substance use disorders, recognizing that these conditions often do coexist. They are an amazing resource, and you can get started by texting or calling the number 888-585-7373 to enroll at any time. So going into your peer support, what is like the role that you take on there, and how do you help other officers?
Yeah, what the role that we take on is of course, at your local office, you're kind of aware of everybody that's around you. Try to see what people are doing, how things are going. If there's a bad incident, you or, of course, you're right there, so you can go up and talk to somebody and say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Is there anything you need? In regards to the bigger view of things, like if there's a major incident, there's a lead for each area that's, maybe over a couple different offices. And they will ask, hey, are you available? We've got a critical incident debrief, and we need people to come here and, help out and be supportive. So with that, we'll show up whatever office it's at. We'll go there. We'll bring the people in. We'll sit down. We'll have a clinician that will go over everything and talk about the incident, just get everybody's point of view, make sure everybody's all doing okay. And we're there in the peer support role of, hey, we've experienced some things. Here's what we did. Here's what you need to watch out for. It's okay to talk about you're experiencing normal feelings for what you're going through. And this is what you need to look for. If you're starting to isolate, if you're starting to drink a little more, if you're getting angry, don't be afraid to get help. If you want to get help, here's this clinician that's here. Right. We can help set you up with another clinician close to your home, or we can help figure things out together to get you the help that you need. Right. But it's getting the information out there. So it's slowly improving, but when you get out there, you still got those guys, and I hate to put myself in that as the old timer group, but I'm kind of falling into that group. But there is still those guys out there that have that suck it up mentality, and you don't need to talk about it, or you don't need to do this. But yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, okay, it may not be affecting you now, but it could affect you later on. And what are you going to do when that happens? It's okay to ask for help. And
is there anything further that you could do to improve? Is there anything that you could think of that would improve? I mean, I know just talking about it more is one thing, and just trying to break the stigma and just talk about it more. But is there anything else you can think of that?
That's a good question. Talking about it is the big thing. It's just getting it out there, because you could put a piece of paper on a wall that says, hey, if you need help, call this. Like here in Kern County, it's Shielding the Front Line. And great program, by the way. They help out law enforcement or first responders and their families. And hearing what Aspire does to help out is huge as well, because they're helping. The people are there to help. The resources are there. It's just getting that stigma gone.
I know.
And that's going to be a hard thing. It is. And so thinking about it, just talking about it, and the more we talk about it, the more things that are out there saying, hey, this is okay. Hey, I've been through this, and I've still got my job. I'm still working. I'm coming up on 3 years sober. I made a mistake. I made one mistake 3 years ago that could have ended my marriage, and that over a stupid misunderstanding. But I'm doing okay. Yeah. And I'm still here, and it's okay. It's okay to struggle, because there's help out there to help build you up.
Are you able to, with your peer support, are you able to, kind of relate with them and just say, hey, I've been through it. I know what you're going through, and just kind of, relate on that kind of level rather than just be like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we try to do. It's I've been through my own stuff, and I know, and it may be different than what I'm going through, but some of the feelings, some of the reactions to what they're going through are kind of similar.
Right.
And that's what's neat with peer support, is that you've got people who have gone through the abuse side of things. You've got people who have been involved in a shooting that can help out. So collectively, we try to come together and help out, and we meet together every 3 months, and then we've got an annual meeting where everybody gets together and we talk about things. We have training. We do role plays and that, because you want to be prepared for the unexpected. And I did a role play with somebody who kind of said something. I think they were going through some stuff of their own, but said some things about me that, ever since you've been part of peer support, you've had a negative attitude. You've done this, you've done that. And I'm like, what the freak are you talking about? Yeah. I'm like, here you guys bring me in. You were part of the interview panel. You bring me in, and now you're saying ever since you brought me in, I've had a bad attitude. And we did. We had, there was a meeting that was really rough, but it threw me back. So I almost quit Parachute. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. Screw this. I don't need to go through this.
I'm just trying to help.
Yeah. And so I made some phone calls to say goodbye to some people. I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to take a back seat. And they're like, no, you don't need to. And I went, you know what? Okay, I'm going to stay in it. And so this last it was in November, we did a role play. A clinician had me and this other individual do a role play, and it was really good because I let things go because they were going through stuff. They had recently lost their mom, and then a few months later I ended up losing my mom in July due to cancer and that. But I went, okay, they're going through that. So it was through a text message. It wasn't one-on-one, because had it been on the phone or something like that, it may not have ended too good. Yeah. But it was through text message and that, and so I let it go, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah. I'm glad I did, because things are better. He's going through a rough time right now, which I feel really bad for. Because we do. It's just this whole mental health thing. This whole life it's a journey. It really is. It's a journey, and we don't know where we may be placed to help somebody out, and that's why I enjoy peer support. That's why I enjoy helping others out. And and there's times where you'll sit back and you'll think, why did I go through this? Why is this happening? Because I missed out on a lot with my family. I mean, my wife almost, she should have left me. She should have. With going through everything that I did, she should have packed up the kids and left. But yet she didn't. And here I wasn't there for almost 16 years. I mean, physically I was there, but mentally I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. Yeah. And granted, we had some good times, but they could have been so much better had I been more present, had I not been thinking of, okay, when am I going to end my life? When am I going to disappear? Yeah. What crash or what incident's going to take me out? Or here I am, I get a call of a car fire and I'm driving very recklessly to get there because I wasn't going to watch somebody die again in a car crash, in a car fire. Yeah. And it's like, okay, no, I went through this for a reason, but now, after I got help 6 years ago, things with my kids have been better. I'm able to help out my children. My youngest has dealt with suicidal ideologies and stuff, and so I've been able to talk with her more.
That's what I was actually just going to ask. I'm sure having this perspective and then going and getting help yourself has helped you to even be a better dad and talk with your kids more and be able to relate with them more, and just just sharing with them that it's okay. Yeah,
it is. And when I got back after being gone for a week, I went upstairs, or when I was with my family after coming home, I saw that some of the damage that I had caused. And I went upstairs, I slammed the bedroom door, and I started sobbing. I was bawling my eyes out. Yeah, here's an officer saying that he cried. Yeah, I did.
It's good. It's good.
It's okay. It was good. Yeah. And because I got good at shutting my emotions down. And I'll be honest, I still struggle with that to this day. I still do. And I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
Yeah. Well, at least you're working on it. Yeah. That's what you need.
But I was sobbing because I'm like, oh my hell, look at what I had done to my family. Look at the relationships that could have been so much better, so much stronger. My poor wife went running out the front door because she thought I had taken off. And she found me upstairs just bawling, and we had a really good talk. And like we said, it's a journey, and but things have gotten better. I've been able to talk to my oldest daughter more. She wanted to pick a fight with me shortly after getting help, and I didn't fight with her like I used to before because when she was going through it and she was having one of those manic episodes, she's like, okay, where's Dad? Time to fight. Yeah. And this time it was like, okay, let's talk about this. And she got mad because I wasn't fighting back. I wasn't engaging. And so it's really helped me to be able to help them.
That's awesome.
Through a lot of their challenges and that. And, I feel bad to this day. Me and my wife, we had a little misunderstanding. As you say, it's a journey, right? So 3 years ago, I'm out working on my daughter's car, a little frustrated. Me and my wife had, I can't remember what the stupid argument was, something really stupid, right?
Yeah.
And so she goes to leave. I'm working on my daughter's car, and I don't hear her say, I love you. And I'm like, what the freak? You've got to be kidding me. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So my two oldest daughters are like, hey, you know what? Let's go, we want to go get poke. And I'm like, okay, fine. You guys go get it. Got them out of the house, and I went hunting for the pills because, my wife, due to wanting to pop the pills, we had locked up all the pills. She had a case where she had locked the pills in. Mm-hmm. And I knew there were pills someplace. Mm-hmm. And I went and I found some. Mm-hmm. One turned into 2 to 3 to 4 to I don't remember how many more after that. But my daughters came home and found me high as a kite on the couch. Mm-hmm. My wife told me to go upstairs, and I stumbled up the stairs. I guess I had fallen out of bed a couple times, and it's not a funny laugh like a ha ha type thing. It's just like I just can't believe how stupid I was, and I texted a close friend of mine, hey, I effed up. Mm-hmm. And I don't really remember anything else that I said, but I do remember my wife coming in, and she goes, you F up again, you're out. You'll lose me, you'll lose the kids, you'll lose everything if you mess up again. And that's the first time I've really ever heard her swear like that.
Yeah.
And, at me.
You're like, okay, now she's talking business.
Yeah,
here.
and she was. And I went, okay. And, I've really worked with it. I mean, it's a struggle. It is. It's a struggle because you'll still feel that desire to want to do things. I mean, it's gotten better over time. But in the beginning, that was rough. There was one time I was up for 3 days straight with withdrawals, shaking and not able to have covers on me and stuff. And I went through that part of it. I think I called in sick a couple days just to make sure I was completely clean because, like I said, she knows I took quite a few of these pills and that, and it was a matter of, oh no, I only took 3. I only took 4. And she goes, oh no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I did. She goes, who was high and who wasn't? I'm like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, So, yeah. You can't lie out of this one.
Yeah, and I couldn't. But.
So, like, the aftermath of that specific incident, I know that it was kind of like, oh, man, my wife has never talked to me like that. I know she's serious. So then what'd you do after that? After that,
it was tense. It was tense for a little bit. We went to a Super Bowl party at friends of ours, and she wasn't talking too much with me, and I was just kind of going along. Hey, you know what?
We're all good.
Hey, we're good. Yeah. It's all good. And hey, honey, how's it going over there? And I just get that look of death, just that death stare, and it wasn't the best. It took a little bit because I broke that trust. I broke that trust, and
were you able to get back on track yourself after?
Oh yeah. It took a little bit, but I was able to get back on track. I know it's going to be weird to say, but if I was feeling a desire to pop a pill or something, I would go get a coffee. I'd go get a drink over at one of the coffee shops and get like an iced whatever it was and get that, and that would kill the craving. That really would.
There you go. You find something else to crave.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did that for a while, and that helped out. I mean, there was one time where my wife got sick, and I was gone for training, and she told me that she had some cough syrup with codeine in it, and all of a sudden my body got the tingles and everything. I'm like going, oh, god dang! And so I had to go grab a cup of coffee.
Like, no, I got it.
And she's like, okay, when is this going to end? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I was honest with her about it. I'm like, hey, you're talking about this code. I said, I was going nuts. I had a hard time sleeping. I had this, and she's like, when's it going to end? I'm like, I'm working on it. I say, you need to know. And so it's that time of getting that trust back.
I really commend you though for like being open and honest though with your wife and just telling her even about the cravings, because I feel like as someone who just doesn't get it, these random things that can trigger you to have cravings. It's like I wish that Kyle was open with me and told me when he was craving things, so I knew to kind of, maybe just not, I don't know, a certain way to talk with him to make it easier for him too. Because I'm like, if you're letting me know, then I will do my best to help you out too. But if you don't tell me, then I don't know. You know what I mean? So I do commend you on like being open like that with your wife.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important.
Oh, you have to. And just like Just like when I was going through this, I mean, it's gotten better. The suicidal, ideology, tendencies, however you want to word it. There was a time where I would take the keys to the gun safe and I would throw them at my wife. Now, I would never do anything on duty. I wouldn't use my duty weapon. I wouldn't take myself out in the patrol car or anything like that, because I didn't want those guys around me to find me like that. I didn't want to put anybody else through that. So if I was having those thoughts and they got bad enough, I would lock up the guns in the safe, throw my wife the keys, say, here you go. And at first, at one time when I first did it, I didn't think about explaining it to her. I threw her the keys and she's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this? And I explained, I'm going through a rough time right now. And she went, okay, do you want to talk about it a little bit more? And I'm like, do you want to hear? And she was like, yeah, please. And so we talked about it. And so now if I say, honey, here's the keys, she knows. And I haven't had to do it for, it's been a while, but it's been over a year and a half since I've had to do that.
That's good.
And it is. And I never, like I said, I never thought I would deal with, popping pills. I never thought I would deal with suicide. I never thought that, I would have, be going through stuff like this. And I'm grateful for a wife who is there and who will talk with me about stuff. She'll get frustrated with me. I mean, it's going to happen.
But she sounds like a rock star, man.
No, she's doing good in that, and she's pushed me to get help and pushed me to talk about things, and I'm very open about the stuff that I've gone through. I'm very open about all the stuff that I've dealt with and deal with. I mean, I still deal with, I've had 2 left shoulder surgeries. I've had a shoulder, surgery on my right shoulder. I've got a knee that's messed up. That's been that way since 2013, and that from a drunk falling into my leg, hyperextended my knee, and it messed it up bad enough to where I still deal with it. And there was a point where I was afraid to go have surgery on this if anything happens again, because there's that fear of popping pills again, but there's other ways you can manage that. There's other ways to manage the pain, and I was lucky enough to find 2 really good therapists that I talked to. I see a therapist in that and talk with her, and she's helped me out with a lot. The therapist before was really good, and talking with her, it was a matter of, okay, this is my fear. This is what's going on. And she was like, there's other ways to manage the pain. There's nothing you need to be afraid of. If you are afraid, then there's something you got to do. There's other things you got to work on. And I think that's what some people, or a lot of people, are afraid of. It's like, okay, I'm going to relapse. I'm going to fall back if something happens.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with Kyle.
Yeah.
He, at one point, had his appendix taken out, and he had previously had a pill addiction, and so I just remember him flushing these pills down the toilet, like, nope, I'm not going to take these, and I was like, I didn't even know about his previous addiction, so I was like, that's kind of weird, but then later on it was like, I'm in so much pain and blah, 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 and I wish if he was just open with even his doctors and stuff, there could have been different ways to manage the pain, I guess, but.
There is, and sometimes there's not, but it's being open. It's being afraid, and it's a hard thing to do. It's really tough to do, because you don't want to come across as weak. You don't want to burden the other person. At least that's with me. I mean, It could be other feelings with somebody else, but with me, it was, I didn't want to trouble that person. And you know what? This is my thing. I got this. You've always got it. But yeah, I had my favorite pills. I did. And I hate to say it like that, but I did. I had my favorite ones. I mean, there was one point I could take 3 Vicodin and nothing would happen. And then pop a couple Percocet and whoo, hey, there we go. I'm feeling good. And it's a very challenging thing to get over. It is something to talk about, because you're embarrassed about it. You're embarrassed that, hey, I'm supposed to be really strong. I'm supposed to handle things, but yet I've got a weakness.
Yeah.
But it's through admitting you got a weakness where you can gain the greatest strength, where you can improve, where you can grow. And that's just, what better way to go from that? And you may stumble. I had that mistake 3 years ago, but I bounced back.
Right. And I feel like it's never too late, I mean, like you said too, you're like, well, 16 years I was kind of just going through life, but it's like, it's never too late to like get the help you need and to really just improve your life.
No, it's not. And it is, there's no point in waiting.
Yeah.
Because the longer you wait, the more stuff you're going to carry with you, and the more stuff you're going to have to unpack. And that was tough. I'll admit that was really hard. When the clinician asked me, "Hey, are you willing to go away for a week to get help?" I sat there for a second, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm willing to." Because I didn't want to risk my family. I didn't want to do that. And my wife was right there. And had I said no, I know it would have. Yeah. But regardless, it was a matter of, yeah, I'm willing to go get help. And, you think everything's going to be okay. But, man, you get broken down to get built back up.
Right.
The breaking down process, yeah, that sucks. That's not a fun process. But the rebuilding is good because there's issues you might find out. This correlates with this, and this correlates with that, and things intertwine, and you've got to unravel it. What does my wife put it as? She's like, oh, because I'm encouraging her to go talk because the spouse goes through whatever you're going through,
right?
And she's like, I don't want to start peeling that onion yet. I don't want to take off those layers yet. Which, okay, that's cool, because you have to do it on your own time. And so with me, when I went away for a week, it was peeling away those layers. And yeah, it sucks. It can suck. But it's where it gets you in the end. That's what's important.
So I know you've gone to therapists and you've gone through therapy. Yeah. Is any of your family members going through therapy?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they. My youngest daughter, with all the stuff that she deals with, she is seeing a therapist. She's taking her medications and that for the bipolar, the anxiety. And it helps. And at first, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to talk to this person for. And so I kind of broke it down to not only her, but to my other kids. And that as well as that, hey, if you take a car in that's broken, if you don't tell them what's wrong, if you say, hey, take the car in and say, hey, fix it, how are they going to fix it? Yeah. You've got to let them know what's going on. You've got to say, hey, it's making a noise here. The steering wheel is vibrating when I push on the brakes, or when I step on the gas, I'm hearing a clanking noise. Or you've got to open up. You've got to let them know what's going on. Because if not, how is that therapist going to know how to help you? Right. How are they going to know where to go and what's going to be beneficial for you?
And I will say, I think that starting therapy or whatever, even just counseling therapy, whatever it is, starting it young, I think is so important, because I started young when I lost a friend, and I just feel like having that as a child, after I've had incidents happen in my life, it wasn't even a question to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see a therapist. I need to talk to someone, Yeah. So I feel like starting it young just kind of puts it in your head too, that it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. And with me, like in the beginning, I said, I knew I grew up with ADHD, and I finally got my dad to admit that, yeah, I probably did have it, but they didn't want to do anything about it at the time because, they're just going to throw you on Ritalin. They're just going to throw you on Ritalin. That's what they do with all the kids. And so it was that was a stigma, getting help. And, my mom, she dealt with epilepsy. And I know she had some other mental health stuff going on that the medication she took kind of masked that, went over that. And they just didn't see it as important at the time. And same with my wife's family. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But with our kids, after the stuff that I've gone through, after the stuff my wife went through, it's like, we're not going to do that to our kids. Right. We're going to make sure they get the help they need. So when we saw our oldest start struggling with different things, my wife, she would have been a great detective. She'd have been great. Yeah. She can research stuff and find things that I'm like, how did you find that? Yeah. And especially with 4 daughters, it comes in handy when she's researching boyfriends and looking stuff up. Yeah, seriously. But she started looking up these different things with our daughter, because she's very smart. All of our kids are very smart in their own way. But our oldest was very book smart. Well, all of a sudden her grades started dropping. She started losing interest in school, and all these things just started falling apart for her. And so she's like, we need to get her help. And we did. And all of a sudden, the ADHD, the bipolar, several other things, and got her help. And we're talking to her, hey, it's okay to get help. Yeah. And so we started that young. And then our next daughter, and then the other daughter, and then, here's our youngest. So she's seen her sisters go through stuff. She's seen the importance of staying on your medication because some of her older sisters struggled with that. And it's a struggle when you're when you've got a diagnosis and you've got to take medication. It's like, really, I've got to take this to help me out? And the way that we describe it to our kids is the medication, it doesn't do everything. You still have to do your part. It helps you become the best version of you that you can be. And that's what we try to teach our kids, is it helps you be the best version of you that you can be. Because I take medication to help out with my PTS, to help out with my anxiety. And sometimes you've got to adjust it. And my oldest had to come off her meds for a bit to start a new medication. And that was rough. That was rough. And she went through it. We had some rough times, but now she's doing great. Yeah. She's doing really good. Yeah. And, all the kids are doing good because they know the importance of getting help. And
that's great.
So we're getting there, and it's just a journey. Everybody's got their own journey, and it's just important to make sure you're communicating about stuff that it's okay.
Right.
It's okay to get help. It's okay to get knocked down as long as you get back up and you're not afraid to ask for help.
Right. And it's bound to happen. No one's life is perfect.
No.
All of us have good times and bad times, but you just have to really, I guess it's after the bad times, you got to, like you said, pick yourself back up. Let's do this.
Oh, yeah. And, especially in my line of work, it's a matter of, okay, something's going to happen that's going to cause a trigger. There's going to be something that's going to try to take me back, and, okay, how do you deal with it? How do you handle this situation? Because there was an incident a few weeks ago where I was second on scene, and it was another fire, and it's like, okay, it's not as bad as the first. I mean, it still sucked. Don't get me wrong. It was still bad. It still ended in a way that you don't want it to end. And I was able to go through things. I called my wife up and said, hey, here's what's going on. Not giving her all the details, but hey, it was another vehicle fire. And gave her just a little bit of what I was going through. She went, okay. So went home. Afterwards, it was a very late night, so got a little bit of sleep because, a little restless sleep. And she just let me do my thing, which was really good, And it helped out with a few chores around the house, but then she let me go do the things that I like to do that help me out, which is either messing around in my garage, which will never be a finished project, but that's okay, because that gives me something to do.
Right.
Or exercise in that. And then I grabbed my youngest and said, hey, we're going over to Sonic. And my wife knew exactly what that meant, even though she hates when I have to go get some ice cream or something like that. It drives her nuts, but she knows that's what I needed. And so after my daughter got back, she goes, you feel better? I go, I'm getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. So it's just seeing the signs, knowing how to handle things, because again, it's, something's going to happen. Other things are going to come up that can bring you back there, but it's on how do you deal with it, and that's the importance of getting help.
Right.
Is you get those, what do you want to say, just those tools. Like Batman's got his utility belt.
Right. Yeah.
It helps you develop your own utility belt. So you've got those tools now that you can use. Okay, well, this is going to be, I know this is going to suck. And you kind of go into it knowing it's going to suck. Okay, what are you going to do? So you start thinking of different things, and you stay in the moment, and you work through it. You put on that big tough exterior while you're there. But then when you're done, it's okay. If you've got to go shed a few tears, if you got to go do something, to let that out and to take care of it, that you can do it.
Right.
It's not going right off to choir, what everybody calls choir practice, where you go grab a beer or something like that. It's not that. It's knowing, okay, what are the proper ways to handle this?
Right. Yeah. Having all those tools. I feel like even you saying that your daughter was like, hey, you feel better? Like, it sounds like she's already got some tools herself too. Like, just checking in on her own dad. I feel like that's not very common for, I don't know, kids to check in on their parents too.
No, they
don't.
Just
expect to be checked in on,
No, yeah, I know,
So
and they know. Yeah, they know. Like, especially after that critical incident stuff, there was a certain scene on a show with a car fire, and I just went, okay, I got to go. And they went, okay, Dad, are you okay? And afterwards, they came and they talked to me. So
that's awesome.
It is nice to have the kids follow up. Then you've got the wife, and that's what's about being open, because that's what a family is. You're supposed to help lift everybody up.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome. That's really cool.
But then when I do it, I get shut out, but that's okay. It's, I guess, being the only man in the house, I guess that's expected, right?
I feel like we've touched on so many different topics, and
Covered a lot, huh?
Yeah, we covered a lot. I mean, even going into some family life that I didn't think we'd get into too much, but I really, really appreciate you coming on and giving your perspective, a perspective that we have not gotten yet with, law enforcement and first responders. Is there anything, just to end, is there any advice that you'd want to give anyone?
Yeah, the main thing is, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to be open.
Right.
And be vulnerable if you have to. And don't worry about the job. Don't worry about, the job's going to be there. If you go through things the right way and you get help before it's too late, you're still going to have that job. You're still going to have all that stuff there. You're going to have your life. You're going to have your family. You're going to have those friends around you. So that's the main thing, is don't be afraid to ask for help, for one. Two, if you see somebody struggling, reach out. Extend a hand, even if it's a, hey, how you doing? Hey, let's go grab lunch. Let's go, breakfast, whatever, whatever's going on. Reach out. Don't leave that person alone. If somebody's out on injury, check up on them. That was some of my darkest times, is when nobody checked up on me. So do that. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about mental health. Don't be afraid to talk about your feelings, what you're going through after a major scene. Don't be afraid to check up on each other. And be open, be honest. And you don't need to tell your family the details. You don't need to tell your significant other all the details if that's the case, but include them in what's going on. Because whether you know it or not, they're going through it with you. Whether you tell them or not, they know you. They know what's going on. So include them in there, because that's some of the greatest support you can have. And I would hate for somebody to lose that, because I almost did. I'm coming up on 27 years of marriage. And it should have been over a long time ago. And you're stronger together. That's the thing. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming on and sharing a piece of your life with us.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Shattered Silence. As always, don't forget to follow us on all of our socials, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can watch full episodes on YouTube, or you can listen on Apple Podcast or Spotify.